Okay, well, it is 3 o'clock, so welcome everyone. Oh, let me turn the air conditioning off so that you don't hear that sound in the background.
Okay, you're fine.
Thank you everyone for joining me for joining us this afternoon. This is a session on teaching for OLLI. So if you have an interest in teaching for OLLI, or you have a passion that you'd like to share with people and you've thought about teaching, we've got a great group of older adults who are enthusiastic, engaged learners who would love to hear from you. We will also answer questions because we have a few people who are have joined us who are teaching for OLLI shortly, and so we're here to take their questions as well. If you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and just ask. I'm using 3 screens here, so I may not see if you raise your hand or see the chat box. So just feel free to unmute yourself and ask. And I am going to try to keep this to 1 hour, but please let me know if I'm talking too fast. So who are we? Who is OLLI? OLLI is an affiliate of WVU School of Medicine, School of Public Health. We are a member-driven organization with physical programs, classroom space in Morgantown and Charleston. With Zoom, we've actually widened our reach though, and we can have members and do have members from all across the country. We are one of 125 Osher lifelong learning programs in the United States, but we are the only one in West Virginia. And our mission is to promote connection, curiosity, exploration, discovery, and discussion through learning and social engagement opportunities. We are designed, as our mission statement says, we are designed for those 50 plus. However, we do not discriminate. If there's somebody younger than 50, you are more than welcome to join us. That being said, most of our members are 65 and over. We were founded in 1993 in the Morgantown area as the Appalachian Lifelong Learners and joined the Osher Network in 2010. The Osher Lifelong Learning Institutes are funded in part by endowments from the Bernard Osher Foundation. OLLI at WVU, as we are known as, also receives funding from WVU, the School of Public Health, and then 50% of our operating budget, 50% of our income comes from member fees and dues, enrollment fees, and donations. Pre-pandemic, we had more than 800 members, enthusiastic, engaged, eager to learn. Since the pandemic, we are working our way back up to that. We are a little over 500 now, and that's members. We also serve a lot of non-members as well. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. We have one full-time staff person, that is me. My name is Jascenna Haislet, and I'm the director of OLLI at WVU, for those of you who haven't been with us previously. We also have 3 part-time staff people. Michelle Clicius, who was on here earlier, is our professional technician or technologist. Diane Kale is our program assistant here in the Morgantown area, and Susan Martino is our program assistant in the Kanawha Valley. We do also work with WVU students, either in service learning opportunities as interns. Sometimes they teach classes for us, especially Apple classes, and we are looking for work study students. So if you know any college students who have work study and would like to work with older adults, let us know, or let them know that we have positions available. We are also primarily a volunteer organization. We have more than 200 active volunteers every year, and our volunteers serve as instructors, presenters, class hosts, ambassadors, meaning they go out there and promote, they bring friends, they tell people about it, and board and committee members. With all of that, OLLI is about learning and teaching for the fun of it. There are no tests to grade, no tests to create. There's no grades. There's no papers to read or write. This is learning and teaching simply for the fun of it. Okay, so OLLI classes. Our classes, we try to be as flexible as possible when working with instructors to create their classes. We offer lectures, hands-on workshops, discussion groups, field trips, almost any kind of format that you could think of to offer a class or a presentation on a topic. We will work with you to create that experience. We do a lot of classes in person. We do classes on Zoom only. And we have continued to do classes once we were allowed to come back to in person after the pandemic. We continued to do classes in a hybrid fashion. In fact, this fall, we are of the 63 classes and experiences that we are offering, 9% of them are on Zoom only, 50% are in person only, and 41% are in a hybrid method, meaning we may have some people in the classroom and some people watching on Zoom. Please don't let that technology scare you. We will help you and we will handle the Zoom part of it. OLLI classes may have a single student up to 100 plus students. Pre-pandemic, we kind of capped out at around 90 here in Morgantown, but with Zoom, we can offer classes to a lot more than that. We don't set limits. OLLI does not set limits on the minimum or maximum is strictly by capacity. We let the instructor tell us. If you want to have a minimum of 5 people in your class, just let us know and that's what we will enforce. If you want to have a maximum of 25, say you're doing a hands-on activity and you don't want any more than 12, we are happy to set that maximum at 12. If you leave those two things open, the maximum and minimum on the proposal form, we will assume that you would be willing to teach for one, although we will let you know ahead of time that that's all there is in the class, up to 100 or more students. We offer our schedule. We offer classes in 4 8-week terms each year. The standard summer, fall, winter, and spring. Our year actually starts July 1st. We work on an academic / fiscal year. Classes, workshops, and such may be 1 session up to about 16 sessions long. They can be 1 hour, they can be 90 minutes, they can be up to just under two hours long. The longer class sessions, we do encourage instructors to take a break about halfway through to allow people to get water, refill their coffee, use the restroom, etc. Most of our classes are offered between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, but we do encourage evening and weekend classes as well. As I stated at the beginning, we are designed for 50 plus, and a lot of us are still working, so we may not be able to do that 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, when we schedule things, we work with the instructor to find a time that works best for you. So thought I'd do a rundown of the types of classes that we offer and some examples of what we have offered in the past and some wish lists. So if you have an idea, if you have a question, you have this idea that you want to teach on a subject and you're not sure if we're interested, just ask. Our members are curious about almost everything. So one of our popular categories is arts and literature. So in this category, we have classes on theater, film, television, opera, music, fine arts, watercolors. The picture here is actually from a class that was taught this summer called Creating a Junk Journal. So that's paper arts, poetry. We routinely partner with Campus Read at WVU and discuss the book that is chosen for the annual read and other authors or topics along those lines. Our wish lists include, we would love to be able to offer a class on dance, drawing, photography. We actually have offered some photography classes, but we'd like to have more. And in the literature category, local and regional authors. We do have some local and regional poets joining us this fall, and authors of color. So if you have any thoughts along those lines, feel free to let us know. Are there any questions so far? Okay. Financial literacy and retirement planning. These are just some examples of the classes we've offered in the past. Founders Over 50, Storytelling and Organizations, a West Virginia Economic Outlook, legal and financial implications of caregiving, etc. So if you're interested in starting your own business or curious about Social Security planning or organizing your estate, we offer classes in those areas as well. Health and wellness. This is exercise classes like Tai Chi and yoga. Nutrition classes, some whole wheat. Every year we do a whole grains day. Whole grains day is in March, and one of our volunteer instructors does a presentation on that day and brings some samples of whole grains and has some wonderful recipes to share. Another instructor uses the great courses and does a series called Eat Right, Eat Well. And that's a very popular one. We've had classes on mental health, on safety, and then other general health and wellness topics as well. History. History is a huge area of interest to our members. And in any of these even broader categories, world history, American, West Virginia, ancient, women's, et cetera, et cetera. Some examples have been classes specifically named Where Have All the Railroads Gone? The Morgan Shirt Factory, Women Workers, What the Ancients Knew, et cetera. Our wish list, some topics that we have had members ask about, or we haven't had a class on for quite a while, if ever, is history of indigenous peoples in certain areas, African history, Latin American history, the Stonewall riots. This is dealing with the history of LGBTQ in New York City, and the Tulsa Massacre. So if you know anybody who can teach any of those, or if you have any other ideas about classes that might be of interest to our members, let me know. Philosophy and religion, also a popular topic. Some examples: dysfunctional families of the Old Testament, magic and Judaism, world religions, women of the Bible, understanding Sufi tradition. This is a popular area for us. We have a couple of instructors, a couple of rabbis who teach for us on a very regular basis. We have also had a panel, an interfaith panel, and some women who teach some classes about Islam for us, the Muslim traditions, Islamic traditions, looking for any other philosophy and religion kind of classes as well. Science and math, human evolution, geology, history of planet Earth, behind the numbers, forensic science. The picture here is actually one of our members taking a hands-on forensic science class that we used to offer. That's why it's on our wish list as well. We used to offer it. Unfortunately, the instructor left WVU, so we haven't had a forensics class, but if you know of anybody who could teach in the forensics area, it was actually a really popular topic for us. Other people have mentioned, hey, could we have a class on space exploration, space junk? How much stuff is floating out there in space? Wind energy, oceanography, etc. Social sciences, politics, and current events. We have a New Yorker discussion group. We had at one time, we had two, and we might have a second one again at some time. We're open to the idea of another discussion group that may use a different magazine or different source material. Other social science, politics, current events type of classes and lectures. A class on mass incarceration in the United States a few years ago. Just this past June or July, there was a session on Russia's war against Ukraine. Understanding the transgender transition. We would love to find somebody who could do a presentation on the history of the Electoral College, what the ins and outs of the Electoral College, the history of the Supreme Court. Voters' rights has been a big issue in the last few years. So those are just some of our wish list items, but that's also a popular area. Technology and training. This is to help us all better use our computers, especially if we're doing Zoom. At the top of the list, we do offer Zoom training, both for instructors and for members who wish to take classes, people who are taking classes. So if you want to teach on Zoom, either on Zoom exclusively or in a hybrid setting, just reach out and we will help you do that and give you some pointers. And we'll actually run the technology in that sense, but this can help you in case you have a book club you want to run on Zoom or something like that. Michelle routinely offers a technology security class. some other technology and training classes we've offered. Introduction to Ancestry.com comes up on a regular basis. The Morgantown Public Library System has offered a session on their digital branch, the kinds of books and magazines and newspapers and things that you have access to using their website. Using your Apple iPad and iPhone. This is one of the classes that remember I said we use WVU students a lot because most of us here at Ollie, in terms of staff, are Android users. So we like to find a student who knows the latest and greatest about Apple iPads and iPhones to help you guys with those classes. So, and travel and adventure. We went kayaking this summer. We ziplining a few years ago. That was fun. Kayaking was a lot of fun. We do several hikes. Michelle likes to lead people on hikes in Cooper's Rock, and Susan is going to be doing the same in the Kanawha Valley. Famous places in West Virginia was a whole series of classes taught by Ed Johnson. So we learned about what was made here, what was grown here, who was from here, what the state songs are, what the state bird is. All kinds of places to visit, etc. The picture here you see is from some of our members who traveled. I believe this was the Iceland, when they went to Iceland. And they came back and did a presentation on their trip to Iceland. And then we have the other interests, the like hodgepodge, everything that doesn't fit into any other category. Hands-on cooking classes that may or may not be healthy cooking, but it's always good. It's always good food. Collecting collectibles. We had a couple classes on collectibles. Gardening is always a popular topic. Sports. A few years ago, we had a class on the history of the Olympics, of the modern Olympics. Wish list. We're always looking for cooking classes. Maybe a class on craft beer. We encourage instructors to repeat a class if they taught a, say, geology, natural history class a year ago or 2 years ago. Our instructors are always more than welcome to offer a class a second time, a repeat, either with updated information if you have it and want to do it that way, or simply a straight up, I'm teaching this again, because we always bring in new members. We're constantly bringing in new members. And especially now that we're doing things on Zoom, if you're willing to do it in a hybrid fashion, we have members across the country, across the state and across the country who haven't seen it. Or, maybe the first time you offered it, a member here in Morgantown was going to come in person and just wasn't able to because they were in another class that day, or they had a doctor's appointment or whatever. So repeat classes are welcome, as well as brand new classes. We do field trips, mostly focusing on local and regional one-day trips. Now, of course, that it stopped 2 years ago. I'm happy to announce that just later this week, Thursday, we are going to make our first field trip in almost 2.5 or 3 years. We are going up to the Andy Warhol Museum, where we will get a guided tour of the exhibits, a guided tour that's designed specifically for people 50 plus. And we're also going to have a hands-on arts experience. So we like to incorporate as often as possible an educational component to these field trips. Some of our past field trips have included going to the Heritage Farm Museum and Village down in Huntington, to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Columbus Zoo. We routinely go to the Phipps Conservatory and Botanic Garden, especially in near the holiday season, see their holiday flower show. And the picture here on this slide, you'll see this is one of our members creating a drawing during the Leonardo da Vinci exhibit at the Carnegie Science Center. That trip we took just probably fall of 19. So if you have ideas about trips, it doesn't have, Ollie has a committee that designs our trips and plans our trips, but we also accept trip ideas, field trip ideas from our instructors, from volunteers. A few years ago, we had an instructor who works for WVU who asked to lead a group to the Pearl S. Buck birthplace. And so we got that arranged, and she did a great job of leading that tour. We're always looking for that kind of input as well. So to give you an idea, if you're not familiar with Ollie or not since the pandemic, our classroom spaces for physical in-person classrooms, we're in Morgantown, we are located at the Morgantown Mall. That's on Greenbag Road. I'm sorry, the Mountaineer Mall. Did I say Morgantown? In Morgantown at the Mountaineer Mall on Greenbag Road. We have 2 lecture style classrooms that can be used for discussion groups and hands-on workshops as well. They seat between 40 and 48 people each. We are trying to keep them at about 25 to 30 people right now, moving back towards that higher limit as more vaccines become available and COVID levels continue to drop. We also have access to a 90-seat community room in case we have need for a larger in-person class. We have the ability to do hybrid classes from one of our classrooms here in Morgantown. And then if we have a class that's a special class that needs to meet elsewhere, we will occasionally go off site for an in-person class. One example that we do on a pretty regular basis is that we meet out at the J.W. Ruby Research Farm in Reedsville to do our horse handling hands-on activity with the horses. And we really enjoy that class. In the Kanawha Valley, most of our classes are currently held at the Schoenbaum Family Education Center in Charleston, but we will occasionally do classes off-site there as well. And we can do Zoom from the Kanawha Valley as well. Classroom technology. So this, I know, especially those of you who are currently teaching or going to be teaching this fall are interested in, but just something if you're thinking about teaching to be aware of. In our classrooms, in most of our classrooms, we have available a laptop with internet. Now and that's a hard line, wired in. We plug the classrooms do have wireless technology as well, but we also have a higher speed connection so that you can plug into the internet. You are welcome to bring your own laptop if you wish. Be aware that we work on PCs. So our technology is set up for PCs. So if you do have a Mac, you may need to bring your own adapter to hook into our projector. So we do have a projector and screen, high def projector and screen in one classroom. Here in Morgantown, we have a smart TV in the Kanawha Valley that we connect into. In Morgantown, we actually do have access to VHS. So if anybody still has an old VHS tape that they want to use, we do still have the ability to play VHS tapes. I thought about getting rid of that a few years ago and got a couple instructors who said, oh, wait a minute, I still have tapes I want to use. So we kept it. We also have CD and DVD drives. We do not currently have a Blu-ray player, but that actually we might have one now.
We do
I think
have
one
a
was
Blu-ray player.
Okay, we do. I don't think we've used it yet. I don't think anybody's used it yet, but we do now have Blu-ray as well. We have a document camera. So if you're not familiar with this, think of old school overhead projectors. Remember they had the big light on top and you set something on it and you set a piece of paper that was on a transparency so that you could see the words up on the screen. Well, we have a document camera that will do the same thing with documents, with books or a piece of paper that's written on it. It doesn't have to be a transparency, but the really cool thing is it actually also does 3D things that you can set a camera on there or an album cover or a soda can and it's a camera that just shows up on the screen. So that's a very cool thing that we have. We have microphones. We do encourage our instructors to use microphones. I understand that a lot of us think that we can project and the classrooms are not terribly large, but it is important to remember, especially if you have a larger group and people aren't sitting really close together, that we do have older members who have hearing difficulties. So we strongly encourage our instructors and presenters to use the microphones as often as possible. We have a whiteboard and actually a smart board in Classroom B. And I can't really think of a good way to describe exactly what a smart board is, but it's a whiteboard that uses the computer. And if you're interested in knowing more about it, just contact me and I'd be happy to show you how to use it. We do have a turntable here in a classroom in Morgantown. So if you got the old-fashioned vinyl, we got it for you. We have an instructor who occasionally uses that. We have a piano available here in Morgantown, and we have Zoom available in all classrooms. Michelle, can you think of any other technology people may want to know about? I did mention that there's wireless internet available. So members who are taking classes can access the wireless as well.
I can't think of anything other than to just say the document camera, y'all, is way better than you're thinking it is.
Oh, yeah.
You can actually show like a 3-dimensional thing and manipulate it. So that's the best.
It's very cool. Document camera is very cool. Okay, so now for those of you who haven't done so already, maybe thinking, yeah, I could do this. I could maybe teach Raleigh. I've got this idea in mind. Let me go through this with you, how to propose a class. This is our website, Teach for Ollie at WVU. It's going to ask you for your name, your contact information, your a title, a proposed title, a description of the class. It's going to ask you for actually 2 descriptions. It can be the same in both places. One is just slightly shorter than the other. One is for the for-print document, the catalog that we send out. The other one is for the online version. We'll let you be a little more verbose for the online version. It'll ask you when you're interested in teaching it, some proposed dates, schedules. You can tell us that your first priority is Mondays at 10 o'clock, or that your second preference to teach is Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. So you submit that through our website. If you have any questions or issues when filling that out, just give the office a call and we're happy to help you with it. This page also includes the term dates. Our terms are 3 months long, but we try to concentrate most activities within an 8-week session. So we are just finishing September. We're finishing up summer. We've got a couple other things going on here in September, but our fall term begins in October. This page also has proposal deadlines. So even though our fall term is beginning in October, we actually knew back in June what we were going to be teaching, what we were going to be offering in October. We generally work between 3 and 6 months in advance because we do have to go through an approval process for our proposals. We have to go through a catalog creation process, get it printed, get it mailed, have people register, etc. So the next deadline for the next proposal deadline for a class is for our winter term. Winter term starts mid-January. So here we're throwing the complication of the holidays in here. So the proposal deadline for our January classes, if you want to offer a class in January, February, or March, you have to have a proposal in by October 10th. Now, if you can't make that deadline, but you're interested, give me a call. We might be able to work something out, but generally, those deadlines are going to be 3 to 6 months in advance. There's also some information, policies, and procedures for instructors on this webpage, and of course, the actual proposal form. The process after you've completed the proposal form, the curriculum committee will review all proposals within 5 days of the term proposal deadline. So we actually take proposals year round. If you were to submit something tomorrow for winter term, hooray, thank you. We are happy to look at it. We're happy to consider your class. We probably won't actually look at it though until October 10th. So you have plenty of time to do your proposal now. It's not a problem if you do it in advance. Just be aware that you probably won't hear from us until more like October 15th. Once we have reviewed these proposals, then you will be notified within 24 hours of the committee's decision to accept, or we may have reached out with questions. Generally, in terms of instructors, you don't have to offer something that was your job. We are looking for instructors who have a passion about something. So if you, let's say you were the CEO of a glass company for many years, but now you're really into model railroads and that's what you want to teach about, that's okay. You don't have to have a PhD in a science to teach and just teach that science class. You could teach photography if that's your subject of interest now. We are about peer-to-peer learning, and we are also strong believers. Ollie is also strong believers in the idea of learning through teaching. So you can, let your imagination run away with you. If you have never taught for Ollie before, we may ask you to teach one session as a sample for us, especially if that topic that you're proposing is not what you may have taught for many years or not what your vocational area of expertise was. If you've never taught before, but you're a doctor of oncology and you offer a class on cancer that's going to last 4 weeks, that's okay. We're going to trust you that's okay. But if you're going to offer a class on photography, we may say, hey, let's try one and see how it goes, or give us a recommendation, and we may be open to a little longer than that. But if you have an idea and questions, just reach out and ask, and I'm happy to talk you through all of that. Some instructor resources online. So online and in the office. Our class catalogs are published online, oftentimes before they drop in the people's mailboxes anymore, especially since we work so far in advance and just the changing nature of our world anymore. Pretty much the minute the catalog goes to the printer, there are things that are out of date on it or need to be updated. So we constantly update our catalog that's online and encourage people to go to that. So if we need to change a date, or we need to change a description somehow, or change a time or something, then the catalog that's online is the latest version. Instructors will also have access to class lists through our registration software. You do not need to, while we encourage our instructors to learn how to use our registration software, there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. You do not have to use it. We are more than happy to help you with this in other ways. You will have access to class lists, either through our registration system at any point, or reach out and ask us, the day before the class or 2 days before the class. Keeping in mind for class lists that and sending out things out to the class in advance, we do allow members to register for classes right up until the moment that the class starts, unless you ask us to set a deadline. So, if it's a class where you expect them to bring materials, maybe it's an art class and they need to know something in advance, or an exercise class, you may say, hey, I think people need to register at least 40 hours in advance. That's fine. Just let us know that and we will make that adjustment. But in most cases, we let people register right up until the last minute. You can email the class in advance, during, or after the class. So handouts or something you want them to bring to class with them. You have the ability to email them, or to send the office a copy and ask us to email it out to the class. We will make copies of materials for you to use in class. That being said, we are trying to be green and not waste paper, and ask that PowerPoints and notes and things that you may want to send out to the class in advance or after the class, that it is sent out via email. And then we will make copies for the members who ask for it. We years ago actually made copies for every single person who was registered for a class. We would make copies of every handout, and we threw away or tried to recycle so much paper that, and I watched people walk out of a classroom and just throw something in the garbage the minute they walked out of the classroom. So we've started asking instructors to email it to everybody, and members know that if they want a physical copy, all they have to do is ask, and we will provide them with that physical copy. So each class will have a host to greet attendees, to assist the instructor with handouts, technology, etc. to remind people of a bathroom break, remind people to turn off their cell phones. If you're doing a hybrid class or a Zoom class, you'll have some kind of technical assistance. Michelle, me, Diane, or another member of Ollie who is used to using equipment. Feedback is collected from those who enroll in the class after every class. That is available within a few weeks of the end of the term if you are interested in getting that feedback. Again, you just need to ask. We're happy to share it with you. And we also, while everybody gets a big thank you, and you'll get a thank you email and card from me, and acknowledgement in our Friday bulletins and sometimes on Facebook and things like that, we can also provide a letter of acknowledgement and or recognition if you need it for a tenure file, for a job promotion, if you're still working and you need that kind of service learning, some kind of acknowledgement. We're happy to send a letter of acknowledgement to your dean or to your employer or whoever. Happy to do that. WVU policies. So we do have a non-solicitation policy. Keep in mind, Ollie is an educational program. We are not here for you to sell something to our members. That in mind, we do understand that some topics, some instructors who are teaching their topics, it's a little difficult to not say, this comes up mostly with authors. So, it's kind of hard to teach about your book and not say I'm selling it, and we understand that. So if you think this is going to get in the way, just reach out and ask, and we will do our best to make accommodations to make sure people are aware of what's going, that something is coming up in that fashion, and they may or may not be able to purchase your work or something like that. But it really is a case-to-case basis, and in general, we are here for educational purposes. Class cancellations, we have some general policies. They're a little looser since the pandemic and since we do things on Zoom, but in general, if classes are canceled in Mon County, then we don't have in-person classes at Ollie that day in Mon County. Same thing in the Kanawha Valley. Now that we're doing Zoom, we are actually still holding some of those classes on Zoom. So it's really kind of a call between the office and the instructor. So if you need to cancel a class, we completely understand life happens. Just let us know as soon as possible. We will take care of all the arrangements of letting people know. It's not something that you have to worry about in the slightest. If we can arrange an alternate time for your class, if you have to cancel, then we'll do that as soon as possible so that we can let people know when they can. We can even put it off to another term, or we can leave it, as a, hey, it's been postponed, and watch for a new date and take care of it that way. But it's not something that you need to worry about. The Ollie office will take care of that. Ollie classes are open to members only unless otherwise stated. We do have some community events that are open to the general public, and those are well marked that they are so. That being said, Ollie members are allowed to bring a guest to a class if there is space available in the class and if they let the office know ahead of time. Instructors are also allowed to bring a guest to their class as long as there is space available in the class and you let us know ahead of time. We used to have waiting lists for classes when we were doing in-person only, and so we really didn't allow guests for classes that had wait lists. Because it wasn't fair to the people who had registered and gotten on the wait list. But right now, it's not really an issue to bring a guest, but we do still need a heads up that there will be another person, that you're bringing a guest, and we'll double check that there's a seat available. We do like to record classes if we can that are being held on Zoom or in a hybrid fashion. We ask your permission first if you will allow us to record the class. It is edited down, so we edit out personal comments, any kind of personal information. And then we make it available to our members who have paid for their term enrollment fees for the term, for them to watch at a later date during that term in case they had a doctor's appointment at the time of your class, or, you know, in case their basement flooded at the time of your class and they weren't able to watch it at that time, then they can still participate. And they are not searchable on YouTube. We keep them private. You have to have the link in order to watch it. And like I said, we also ask your permission and we take it down after one term. So you may, if you're doing something on Zoom or in a hybrid, we will ask you, and feel free to say no. We have instructors who don't want their stuff recorded, and that is totally okay. We are fine with that. Per WVU policy in COVID time, masks are not required anymore in the classroom, but we still highly encourage people to wear them. We want people who want to wear them to feel comfortable doing so, but we also want people who don't want to wear them to feel comfortable, you know, not wearing them as well. So we ask that everybody be respectful of everybody's individual personal requirement in terms of wearing a mask or desire to wear a mask or not. Instructor compensation and recognition. Again, all of our instructors are volunteers, and we greatly appreciate them. We could not run this program. We could not have this program without our wonderful volunteer instructors. That being said, there's some recognition / compensation of sorts, not a whole lot, but you are entitled to some discounted enrollment fees if you teach 3 classes and for a total of at least 10 hours in a year, in an academic or OLLI membership year. Then the following year you are entitled to 2 free terms of enrollment if you purchase a membership. We do have an honor roll member category as well, and honor roll members are entitled to 2 free terms each year that they purchase a membership. And to become an honor roll faculty member, you must have taught 10 classes for at least 60 hours, a total of 60 hours. So from that point, once you've got your 10 classes and 60 hours, then you get 2 free terms every year that you've purchased a membership. Again, our membership year is July 1st to June 30th, and our membership fee is only $30. For that $30, you get all of these member benefits at little to no additional costs. Ask a Geek, that's Michelle. She has a on-demand, you have a tech question, she will arrange a time to meet with you virtually or in person and try to answer your questions or work with you to find an answer. We do virtual happy hours on Sunday nights. Those are coming back this fall. Those are always a lot of fun. Just a little gab session amongst friends on Zoom on Sunday evenings at 6:30. Zoom training sessions, I think I mentioned that already. Interest groups. We have a number of special interest groups or shared interest groups, a couple of book clubs, some walking groups, a monthly trivia, online virtual trivia group, some dine out groups. These are all available to OLLI members without paying your term enrollment fee. There may be some costs involved in terms of purchasing your meal or buying a book that you're reading or whatever, but you don't have to pay the term enrollment fee for that. And then special member events. These are our one-time lectures that we offer that are open only to our members. Field trips, when we do field trips, there's usually a non-member option. Members pay less than our non-members. So looks like we have a question here. I'm sorry. So no, we do not pay our instructors. We are all volunteers. But loves to make craft beer, solicit. Okay, so she has a question about supplies, cost of supplies. Yeah, we can, you can ask for a materials fee for a class. So if you're doing a hands-on, this case is possibly a craft beer, making a craft beer or sampling a craft beer after it's been made. You may ask for a materials fee associated with your class, and I will work with you to determine whether we pass that along to people who register for it. So if somebody registers years ago, we had a wine tasting class, and people paid, I think it was $5 to come to that class. Along with their term enrollment fee, they paid an extra $5, and that went directly to Kroger for the wine. I will reach out. We'll talk. We'll figure out if we're going to pass it directly along to the members, or if Ollie is going to absorb that fee, and we're going to offer it anyway at no extra cost to the members, but we will compensate an instructor for materials. So that is a possibility. We don't want our instructors to lose money by teaching for Ollie in terms of supplies and such, if we can at all avoid it. We always appreciate the donation of things above and beyond their time, but we understand that that's not always possible. So please feel free to reach out. Back to our terms and fees then. So for a flat and term enrollment fee of just $35, Ollie members can enroll in as many Ollie classes as they wish. If they want to take 2 classes, they pay $35. If they want to take 16 or 20 classes and can fit it in their schedules, they pay only that $35. So it really is a great bargain for people. Other Ollies around the country, some pay as much as $500 or $600 or $700 or pay per class, etc. So we are a real bargain. But like I said, we could not do this without our instructors. And even though we are a bargain, we offer the highest quality that we can, and we have just wonderfully talented instructors, and welcome you to be a part of this.